It hurt my feelings.
It hurt your feelings?
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday, December 7th meeting of the Board of Supervisors. My name is Sam Miller. I'm the Assistant Township Manager and Finance Director. I'm glad to have you here this evening. For the benefit of those watching at home, I'd like to give a brief overview of tonight's action items on the agenda. So under old business, we'll be looking to take action on Resolution 2134, which will approve a master lease agreement with BCI Capital, Inc., for the purchase of police officer body cameras. That'd be 45 units, which are new, and replacement of 15 in-car camera units. We will also have, under new business, a presentation by myself in relation to a summary on the 2022 proposed township budgets, which have been under public inspection. We will have an action on Resolution 2135 that will appoint a new Chief Administrative Officer for the Non-Uniformed Employees Pension Fund and Police Pension Fund. And we will also have an action to approve the 2022 Municipal Domestic Animal Protective Services Agreement with the Humane Society. Under subdivision and land development actions, we have an action to approve the preliminary and final subdivision plan for the Meadows at Colonial Club. That's plan number 21-26, 23.5 acres to subdivide for single-family dwelling units for a total of 22 lots. We'll also have action to approve the preliminary final subdivision plan for Kepler property, Blackberry Lane, which is currently a 1.4 acre property to be divided into 3 lots. And we'll have various improvement guarantees. We have 2 extensions, 4 reductions, 1 release, and 2 street dedications, all of which have been recommended for approval to the township by the township engineers, HRG. And then finally, we will have an authorization for the payment of bills. So at this time, I'll turn the meeting over to Chairman Henry Lowe.
Good evening, everyone. We'll call this meeting of the Lower Paxton Township Board of Supervisors to order. I'd like to ask everyone to please stand, and Supervisor Lindsay will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll begin with approval of minutes from the meeting of September 7th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion we approve the minutes from September 7th, 2021 Board of Supervisors meeting.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Before we proceed to public comment, I would like to announce the Board of Supervisors met in executive session prior to this meeting and will be meeting in executive session following this meeting. Public comment is a time set aside for any items that are not on the agenda tonight. If you're here to comment on an item on the agenda, you can do so at the time we discuss it. Is there anybody here who would like to comment on an item not on the agenda? Polly, good to see you. It must be that wonderful time of the year, huh?
Oh my gosh, a whole year in the making. It's going to be fabulous. Hi, I'm Polly Murphy. I live at 5877 Laurel Street. And the Lower Paxton Community Foundation want to thank your supervisors. You've been so supportive. Rachel Scott from Park and Rec, Public Works Department and all the Jeffs, and the police, and others who are always willing to help our committee of more than 2 dozen volunteers. The Lower Paxton Community Chris Kindlemart is this Saturday. We were hoping for a little snow, but we're going to be near 70. Oh, no.
God. Oh, my God.
It will be rain or shine. We will be there. Is this a... Hi. Hi, how is it? I've been good. Oh, yes. I know you. Listen, I don't have to introduce these crazy people. You all know Santa and Mrs.
What about Santa?
Wow.
I'm the big guy, not her.
Yes, you are. Well, it's nice. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. What it is it's a traditional German Christmas market. It's outside, rain or shine. We have 75 plus craft vendors. Everything's homemade. Fruit vendors, including German deli, Living Nativity by the community churches, live music and dancing, including Bishop McDevitt, a German group, Jay and the Jangos, the Happy Wanderers German Band. Children's activities by teacher Katie Weisser, and she's with the German Honor Society of Central Dauphin East, and she's bringing a bunch of her students. That'll be cool. Visits with Santa, typical German culture, and the merchants in Lingelstown are excited. There'll be parking in Coons Park,
Santa.
on the east end of the village, Church of God on the west end. We'll have jitney shuffle service will be provided by our presenting sponsor, the Lingelstown
Thank
American
you.
Legion
Thank
Post
you much.
272. So we will kick things off at 10 a.m. with an opening ceremony at the flagpole at 10 a.m. with the Legion Color Guard.
10 a.m.
For more information, go to the LP's chriskindlemarket.com. We hope you join us. And I'd like to recognize the Legion here. And they are our head sponsor, and they have made it possible for us to do this. This is the Lingelstown Legion, and this is Michelle from the Legion. And so thank you very much for all that you've
Michelle.
done. And everybody here, thank you. Tell me, does anybody have any questions? Oh, you got it. You have to be good, and you have to wait till Christmas.
Oh,
So any questions? Santa, Mrs. Santa,
Merry
thank
Christmas.
you.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you,
so
Santa.
much.
Thank you, Mrs. Claus.
Wow. All right. Thank you very much to
Thank
all
you,
the
Polly.
supervisors. We appreciate it.
And Paulie, thank you to you and your whole committee. I know you've put an incredible amount of work into this. As you pointed out, it's been a year-long effort to get ready for it, so.
And there's tons of people doing it.
Ah,
You would not believe the fabulous volunteers. Robin and Norm, they have been working crazy for us.
Ah,
We appreciate it. And so everybody's on board.
Behind the
everybody's on board.
scenes.
As we're meeting here tonight, the other people are meeting with volunteers over at the church. So
Oh,
we're
good.
really gonna be ready to go. So
Great.
come rain or shine, it's gonna be a blast.
Well, we urge everybody to get out for this in Lingelstown. Saturday starts at 10
To 4,
to 4.
and it's gonna be busy every minute.
Yeah.
Please take pictures and post them for us.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you, everybody.
And then the Legion wants us there at 10 o'clock at the flagpole in the square, right?
Yes.
Okay,
10 o'clock at the flagpole.
right.
Very good.
Just to make a comment, our junior ALA will be present. The first will be at 12 o'clock.
Do you want to go up to the podium then? Because you'll be on TV and then the residents will hear.
Our junior ALA, American Legion Auxiliary, these are junior members from age 17 and under. At 12 o'clock, they will be teaching the folding of the American flag and flag etiquette. At 2 o'clock, they will be allowing children to come up and make a poppy ornament, and they will explain the significance of the poppy. So
Interesting.
we encourage everybody to come out. They will be given all kinds of free stuff to take home with them. And like I said, this is going to be really big for our junior ALA, and they're really excited about it.
Good.
So, thank you.
And bring your wallet, because those virtues of Lingelstown, really, we've got to support them. They love it. This is a big day for them. Not just that, but also the vendors. They work hard all year to make this stuff, so.
There's 75 vendors, right, Polly? Okay.
Wow.
I always remember to bring the wallet, the checkbook, and the credit cards. Yeah, credit cards too, right? All major credit cards accepted. So,
Live nativity and entertainment the whole way through also.
And the kids are gonna make German decorations with the German club from the high school, including the whole community.
Das ist gut.
Well, Michelle, I'd wear my military uniform, but I discovered that if you hang it in the closet in the dark for a long period of time, it shrinks. And for some reason, it doesn't fit.
Wear mine, but it's never going to fit
Go with that, Norm. Yeah.
So thank you for your time, and we'll see you Saturday.
See you Saturday.
You most certainly will. Thank you, Polly.
Keep praying for sunshine.
Yes.
If it doesn't come, we'll provide it.
It'll
Yes.
work.
All right. Is there any other public comment? That's going to be pretty hard to top. That's- yeah, you can't top Santa and Mrs. Claus at this time of year.
No.
All right. Well, seeing none other chairman or board member comments, Robin?
I have a lot. The board has been very busy.
Why am I not surprised?
I'm going to start with Wednesday. Mr. Minsker from the Kiwanis Club and Sally Garber. And we had 3 employees from Home Depot, and Mr. Zumas and myself. We met out at the kennel at Public Works. And the Kiwanis Club is raising money, and Home Depot will be donating supplies, and Dauphin County Technical School will be doing all of work to build Lower Paxton Township a new kennel to keep our lost dogs. So thank you to the Kiwanis Club for doing that. And we also want to thank the Kiwanis Club for decorating the beautiful tree in the lobby out front. So
great.
Bill, if you can relay that to them, we appreciate that. And also the beautiful red poinsettia that's out there that came from Commonwealth Benefits Group. So do we send them a thank you note, Sam? Okay, all right, so in public, we just want to thank them for that. That was Wednesday. Friday night, we want to thank the Parks and Rec Department and the Paxtonia Fire Company. We had the holiday jam band at Heroes Grove. The choir sang from the Northside Elementary School. There was probably about 250 to 300 people there. So it was a great evening. Parks and Rec did a great job. The Christmas lights just made it all. So, and it wasn't real cold that night. So, and thank you, Mr. Miller, for staying and bringing your family. Sunday night, I want to thank the LACA, Lingelstown Area Civic Association. They did the tree lighting in Lingelstown. And there again, there was, what do you think, Bill, 250, 300? It was just great to see everybody out since everything was canceled last year. Then I forgot Sunday morning, please. The policemen had the cops' cars and coffee at the Colonial Park Mall. And I was over there, and I think that is the best turnout that they've had so far. There were cars everywhere. I had a call when I got home, and somebody wanted to know what is going on 22. Is there a parade? Because people were standing up and down 22 in front of the mall, and I guess that's the big thing. You take your hot car and you zoom down 22. So they were watching all of the cars. But we
Hopefully
had
at the speed limit.
Oh, I don't know about that. If you just followed the black smoke, you knew exactly where you were going. So, but
Let's
the
not
board,
zoom too fast here, folks.
yeah, the board has a busy week, and the township had a busy week, and so we just appreciate everything that everybody is doing, whether it be from our employees to the Kiwanis Club to the Paxtonia Fire Company. We really appreciate it. So, that's all.
Any other board members' comments?
Robin did it all.
Robin did it all. She got all the comments done. Thank
We
you,
got
Robin.
it. We're good.
And managers report. Sam, do you have any report for us?
Nothing of any substance.
Oh,
Mr.
okay.
Chairman.
Anything lacking in substance you want to bring up as well?
Pretty subsided.
We're pretty, very good. Well, we do have a fairly action-packed agenda here with a number of items, including budget. So we will get on to old business. We first of all need to take action on Resolution 2134, this approving a master lease agreement with BCI Capital, Inc. We're purchasing police officer body cameras and replacement in-car cameras. Anybody have any questions about that?
Mr. Miller, the officers are already wearing body cameras. Are these more body cameras, or are we replacing old ones?
This is actually, the cameras actually arrived some time ago, and it was being coordinated for the gaming grant that actually covered a portion of these up front. So we've actually had these physical assets for some time and just have been timing the financing coordination based on the grant and then finally closing this up. So this is actually what the individuals are utilizing at this time.
And then the in-car cameras, so we've had them, but they're just replacing them.
That is correct. The units that they have are no longer serviceable, so this is replacing existing units within the force.
So all of our officers have body cameras?
I believe there's 45 in total. I'm not sure how they rotate between the various officers.
on
But
shift.
I think the
Okay.
complement is to cover everyone that would be out in the field.
Yeah, and they're in use?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Yep.
I thought
yes,
too.
they're in use.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Matter of fact, smile, you might be on one right now. Any other questions? Okay, seeing no additional questions, is there a motion on the item?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve action on Resolution 21-34, approving a master lease agreement with the BCI Capital Incorporated for the purchase of police officer body cameras and replacement in-car cameras.
So moved, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
There being no additional old business, we will proceed to new business. And the first item under new business is presentation of the 2022 township budgets. And Mr. Miller can put on his budget director hat here. And we have a PowerPoint on our proposed budget.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I will go ahead and give the presentation details from here. We'll try and keep this light. The information in relation to detail on all the budgets is on our website under our Finance Department page. And after this meeting, the copy of this PowerPoint presentation will be placed up there as well for any future reference. But certainly, it's a great pleasure to present this report this evening to everyone in attendance and those watching at home. This is the culmination of a series of departmental budgetary presentations that occurred in September and October, including a more formal draft presentation in November, all these at publicly advertised board meetings prior to the official start of our workshops or business meetings, and have finished, or nearly finished actually at this juncture, the public inspection period of 20 days after advertisement in the paper, just before Thanksgiving. So on this first slide here, these are an overall highlight of our budgets. All of our fund budgets are balanced with either an addition to or use of financial reserves that are on hand for the township as per code. The goal would be a final adoption at the Board of Supervisors business meeting on December 21st, 2021, which would be 2 weeks from now, which would ensure the budget is enacted based on code before the end of the year. Quick high-level overview, and then I have several slides for the details of some of the budgetary information. General fund budget is just over $25 million in proposed revenues and $26.7 million in expenses. Our state aid fund, which is highway liquid fuels, is revenues of 1.7, expenses of 1.6. In the general improvement fund, mostly for our one-time capital items, revenues of $894,000, expenses of just over $1 million. And then finally, our fire protection tax and equipment fund, which we'll have a good bit of information on tonight, is $2.1 million in proposed revenue and $1.65 million in proposed expenses. Now, these budgets exclude the fiduciary funds we manage. These are funds that we hold and manage the assets and activities, but the funds aren't for the benefit of the township or the residents. They're benefiting other parties. And that would be for our police and non-uniform pension plans, as well as our LOSAP, the Length of Service Award program that we have for our volunteer fire groups. A quick overview on the authority budgets. As you may be well aware, we have an authority within the township to manage our sewer and stormwater operations and capital activities. Those budgets were previously presented and adopted by the authority board on November 23rd, 2021, just before Thanksgiving. A quick overview on that. Revenues in our sewer operating are $17.16 million, expenses of $18.5, then again operating. On the capital side, paid from bond proceeds and loan issuances, as well as accumulated reserves from user charges, are just over $12 million in capital investment. On the stormwater side, from the operating fund, we have revenues of $3.4 million and expenses of $2.5 million. And in the capital, which is again from bond and reserves, $5.7 million for stormwater capital improvements for 2022. All said and done between the township and the authority budgets, a total proposed spending of $69.7 million. Overall, this is a $2.5 million decrease, or 3%, from our 2021 adopted budgets. And we have some information in subsequent slides to present a little bit more about that. So the biggest budget that we manage is within the general fund, and this is provide those general services to our residents and owners and occupants throughout the township. This provides your public safety, public works, your parks and recreation functions, community development, and our general administration services here at this building. Most municipal services do not have that direct cost benefit relationship. They rely on taxes to fund the majority of those services, especially when you talk about public works and public safety, plowing streets, maintaining our roads, and maintaining public order. Those things do not have general charges for them. They come from the taxation power of the municipalities. The majority of our expenses, as with any municipal entity, in the general fund operations relate to personnel and related benefits to provide and manage those services for the benefit of all of our community members. Our general fund is balanced for 2022 based on a proposed use of financial reserves of $1.47 million. In context, our 2021 financial starting reserves was just under $8.5 million. We had a substantial addition to reserves over the last 2 years of $3.4 million. A good chunk of that was from CARES money, which was federal support during COVID period. 2021 is in early stages of being reviewed. I apologize to the board, we don't have that together. It's been a whirlwind of a couple months here, but we're certainly looking to roll that out next couple weeks to get a better expectation of where we'll land, but I presume it's going to be positive based on the sites I'm seeing. The general fund is primarily funded from real estate and earned income tax revenues. Those account for 61% of our total budgeted revenues. And within the general fund, we have two portions of our real estate tax millage. That would be our general and our library millage, as you can see there at 1.554 and 0.041 mils. Those are unchanged from 2021 and from several years now. I will make a quick note that our capital investments, that is money we put into property, plant, and equipment, are currently fairly limited in our general and general improvement funds as we continue to evaluate strategic capital planning from American Rescue Act funds received and awarded. We've received about half of the $5.2 million noted there, and we'll receive the second in a trench in July. So that gives a lot of opportunity for capital investment throughout the township. Two slides for you to give a quick overview on revenue and expense trends. First, on revenue trends, we're looking at about a 3% reduction in revenues from our 2021 budget. That's about $798,000. So we have three items, two of which offset the other to get to that final total. We have a complete shift of our fire protection tax millage over to the fire tax and equipment fund. We've changed the process to make sure we can put all of those funds in a single trackable, all those tax revenues in a single trackable method so we can ensure complete accountability for all of our fire tax generated tax revenues. That reduced actually the revenues by $1.3 million. Now on the other side for the increases, we have increase based on earned income tax growth from housing booms from the last several years, as well as some historical trending for our real building and related permits that are providing an increase to our projections of revenues of about $114,500. And this is something we keep an eye on over trending because as it continues to be very positive with regards to permits and growth within the township, there will reach a point where development starts to slow a bit. Our revenues, as you can see in the gray parts of the chart, are very consistent over the past several years outside of 2020, where we did have a $2.6 million spike in revenue from the CARES funds, which I previously noted. When you back that out, our revenues have been very, very consistent, as you can see from a historical perspective. Our tax millage rates, as previously noted, have remained unchanged since 2016. So we're coming up now on 6 years of no increase in those tax levels, which is certainly commendable. And since 2020, we have had a very substantial increase in our population by about 13%, but the real estate average values have maintained pretty stable, but have grown about 1.3% per year on average. On the expenditure side, general fund budget is proposing to increase expenses by about 2%, or $502,000 versus our 2021 budget. This equates to a offsetting item leaving the budget, which is that shift of our volunteer fire allotments and our fire hydrant costs, moving to the Fire Protection Tax Fund. Again, as I mentioned previously, getting everything under one central fund for all that operation for what we're charging that tax for and utilizing those funds for those services. To offset that decrease, we have increases in our personnel and related benefits costs as well as our general obligation bond, our debts. In relation to personnel and benefits, this accounts for approximately $20.5 million of our overall expense budget for the general fund, to the tune of about 77%. As previously noted, this is very common for municipalities because we are a service-driven industry, primarily in public works and public safety. So obviously that drives the personal services to provide those to our residents and business owners. Overall, we have a $633,000 or 3% increase over 2021 budget, which is a reflection of our contractual and proposed administrative compensation increases, our contractual being those in our negotiated agreements, as well as an increase in health insurance costs based on general market trends. In addition, we have our debt service, which is budgeted at $2 million. This is primarily relative to improvements to buildings that the township owns and operates. We have no new debt proposed for the general fund purposes, but we do have an increase in debt. Actually, it's about 29% increase in the debt portfolio, but this is based on our scheduled payments. So what we're going to see is a declination of that in future years. And by 2028, we'll be actually reducing debt service as it is currently standing by just over $1 million. And finally, just a quick note that we do have expense growth from 2020 to 2021 budget. You'll see a decent climb there from the 24.7 to the 26.2, primarily driven by health insurance costs and pension obligation increases. Moving on to our state aid fund. Quick budgetary overview there. For the highway liquid fuels allocation we get from PennDOT, this is a portion of annual allocation that relates to motor license fund tax collection, so what we pay at the gas tax. So in relation to this, it was obviously very significantly negatively impacted for 2021 based on COVID-19 impacts. We had a reduction of about $115,000, and of course that directly impacts a lesser amount for us to do physical paving actions. Our state aid is budgeted, balanced for 2022 based on proposed use of financial reserves of $296,000. And we have total proposed expenses in the fund of just over $1.6 million. This reflects a 13% reduction in our 2021 budgeted amounts for state aid. The biggest piece here is with paving, and that directly ties off with the allotments. We're very hopeful that the allotments will improve as the final numbers are determined, but based on the early estimates, it's a pretty stagnant amount to the previous year, which still does provide $1 million for paving projects, but that will be the first benefited by an increase should the state push through additional funds. In relation to our general improvements fund budget, as I mentioned, this accounts for our one-time capital projects that the township performs. These often span multiple budget periods, primarily funded through grants, bond proceeds, restricted donations or contributions, or at times fund transfers from the general fund. General Improvements Fund is balanced for 2022, using unspent bond proceeds and reserves carried over, totaling $121,000. Overall, we have about $894,000 proposed for revenue that we'll receive from federal, state, and county grant funding, as well as some small donations and contributions. There are three major projects that are currently in the General Improvements Fund for 2022. Two of them are bridge rehabilitation projects. The Red Top Road project is ongoing, collaboration with PennDOT. The town has a net 5% obligation, but based on agreements, we're assisting in administering the entire project. So we're reporting all revenues and all expenses for it. But the net 5% obligation will be, as you can see, very minimal in the end. In relation to the McIntosh Road Bridge project, that will be gearing up very soon as well. Look, I'm sorry, it's nearing completion, I apologize, continuing over from 21. And the township obligation for this project is 40% in a joint effort with Dauphin County. So again, two terrific projects. I'm sure that folks traveling there are concerned with the wraparounds and the the delays, but obviously it's good money spent. When the project is done, there'll be exceptional bridge improvements that will be very visually noted. And then finally, our Strategic Management Planning Program, or the STAMP program, through the state. This is a 50% grant-funded program that provides an extensive consultant assessment of the township. Looks at operations and management to provide us a multi-year financial plan and help us to establish short and long-term goals, which will help sure that we can meet our operating and financial obligations and objectives here as we move into the future. So we have projected 2022 expense of $116.5. $58,250 of that will be funded through that state grant. So then finally, in relation to the last township budget, we have the fire protection tax and equipment fund budget. So this accounts for full fire protection tax millage that is charged to support our fire protection services within the township. And this also helps assist with our significant capital investments into our volunteer fire department apparatus acquisitions. The 2022 budget initiates really a comprehensive assessment of our fire protection services within our township. This is kind of focused on two specific bullets, the first of which is an extensive demand for volunteers, and we have a dwindling citizen response to answer that call. Overall, in the state, reduction in volunteer firefighter groups has numbered from about 300,000 in the 70s to less than 30,000 today. The township is supported by three distinct volunteer fire groups, the Colonial Park, the Lingelstown, and the Paxtonia volunteer fire companies. Rising operational, capital, and administrative costs that relate to training and services require municipalities to supplement this volunteer model to make sure they can stay financially feasible to provide those services to those who need it. As the 15th largest municipality within the state, and one of very few municipalities our size that relies solely on our volunteer groups for fire protection services, there is a growing need for us to supplement the volunteers with paid firefighters in years ahead. So that is part of this overall assessment. The second bullet piece is to preserve that fire protection and emergency response. Our 2022 budget includes the proposed addition of a deputy fire chief position for the second half of the year, as well as a comprehensive study to develop a long-term model for fire protection service assessment, apparatus management, and paid fire protection complement for volunteers for the township, as well as ensuring that our EMS services, our emergency medical, supporting both our basic and advanced life support services, remain strong throughout the township. So to commence with these advancements noted, a 0.175 mil increase to the fire protection tax is proposed. The millage is currently at 0.4615. This tax increase for the average homeowner will equate to $34 a year, based on a $200,000 median home value assessment in the township. So this proposal would add just under $500,000 to our physical reserves for the 2022 budgetary year, and this will be to complement the implementation of what we expect to come from the comprehensive fire study, which is the complementary fire protection paid services, as well as our rising apparatus cost needs. So of the $1.65 million proposed for expense next year, it's focused on our annual allotments to our three volunteer fire companies, as well as I mentioned, the deputy fire chief and benefits, as well as the vehicle, and a comprehensive study to bring us forward into the future. And then we have continued costs for SUEZ for our public hydrant system throughout the township. Annual contribution now to our equipment plan for capital reserves for apparatus purchases, the next of which of significance is planned to be in 2029. And then finally, an amount for physical debt service current for acquisitions that we have made to date. So again, a very comprehensive look to the future, and certainly one that will take delicate steps and a comprehensive study to best assess the directions. A very quick overview on township authority. So as I mentioned, these had previously been adopted. I will note that the rates of services for sewer and stormwater remain unchanged from 2021 at $153 per quarter for sanitary sewer and $26 per quarter, which was reduced in 2021 from the 2020 charge of $32 a quarter, again down to $26 for stormwater charges. The capital budgets were, as I mentioned, approved of $12 million for sewer and $5.7 for stormwater. This is reflecting a very significant township investment in improvements within these utility infrastructures throughout our collection and conveyance systems. So certainly kudos to the authority for a very aggressive investment strategy and very significant work. This will also involve the expected issuance of about $12 million in additional bonds for ongoing capital projects, all wrapped into a very long 30-year plus plan to assess the rates necessary to complement turnover of a very large network of sewer and stormwater infrastructure. So just a quick summary in relation to finalize the budget. So in relation to municipal taxation, obviously the biggest question for most homeowners within the township, and rightfully so. Our total township proposed real estate tax millage with the fire protection tax increase would come to 2.2315 mils. Now for the average homeowner within the township, this would equate to a real estate tax bill of $446.30. As you can see from the infographic here is how that breaks down between our general services, library services, and fire protection. About $127 towards fire protection, $311 towards our general services, primarily public works and public safety purposes. And then finally, a small allotment of $8 per year to support the county library system. Now within the county, only 4 municipalities have a population over 20,000 individuals. That would be ourselves, Swatara, Susquehanna, Dairy Townships, and then the city of Harrisburg. Excluding the city that has an exceptionally high millage rate of 30.9 mils for land and 5 mils for buildings, the average amongst those with that 20,000 or more population is 3.1167 mils. Now the average related to all of our taxing municipalities within the county, which is 38 units, excluding those that have millage rates over 10, is 2.9431. So again, we're still significantly lower than our neighboring communities. So providing, as I would certainly impress, very strong public works and public safety services at a fraction of cost of what our neighbors have been able to do so. So we should certainly be proud of that. In relation to that, as I mentioned, the information is obviously going to be available online. As it has been, the intent would be that the board considers the budgets and any further discussions and deliberations leading to an adoption at the end of the year so we can kick off 2022. So I certainly want to entertain any questions from the board, and thank you for the opportunity to present the budget tonight.
Sam, could you repeat that, please?
I wanted to go back to this last slide. It's a strong fact to make. Certainly, taxes have been held steady. Again, the pressures are always out there for everyone, but we do have a very strong position versus our neighbors, and I feel certainly constituents feel that those services are well received.
Well, and one of the hallmarks of this budget and the whole process is the amount of planning that is going to be taking place going forward, both with the strategic plan for our overall expenditures, as well as we take a look at the future of fire protection services and a comprehensive plan for our park system that is going to take place. So 2022 is going to be the year of planning around here. But that's a good thing, because then we'll have a vision and a roadmap for where we're going over the next 5 to 10 years. Well, congratulations, Sam, to you and your staff. I know you joined us in the middle of the budgeting process this year, which was a difficult time to come on board, but you and Brad and all the directors of our departments have done a tremendous job in, first of all, holding the line on costs as much as possible while also making sure that we have a professional level of service. And that was a tough act to do, but you all have done a great job.
And I certainly want to thank the directors for that, because they played obviously a very key role throughout the process. I was able to come in and work with them, and the results are positive.
Our directors have had a tough couple of years. Last year, 2020, in the middle of the year, they had to go in and pare over $1 million out of the budget because we weren't sure what was going to happen with revenues and expenses with COVID. It was the end of the year before significant funds came in to reimburse us, and fortunately, those funds are now available to us. But it has been a real, the last year and a half have been unprecedented in many ways, but certainly around here as well. And our directors have done a great job of going with the flow there. And we're going to make them work even harder here before the meeting's over. But any questions for Sam? And I would reiterate for any members of the public who are listening that this PowerPoint presentation will now be posted on our website, as well as all the complete details of the budget. So anybody who is interested, if you go to lowerpaxton-pa.gov, you'll be able to access all this information. And 2 weeks from tonight, we will do approval of the budget. If there are no further questions, I would like to move on then to item B under new business. And we need to take action on Resolution 2135, this appointing a new Chief Administrative Officer for the Non-Uniformed Employees Pension Fund and the Police Pension Fund. And that, of course, would be Mr. Miller again. You're very busy tonight. Housekeeping matter here. Are there any questions about this? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we appoint R. Samuel Miller, which is our Assistant Township Manager, Finance Director, Resolution 2021-35, as the officer for the Non-Uniform Employees Pension Fund and Police Pension Fund.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item C, action to approve the 2022 Municipal Domestic Animal Protective Services Agreement, this with the Humane Society. And there was in the packet a document outlining that agreement. Do we have any questions for Mr. Miller about the agreement with the Humane Society?
The total, Mr. Miller, is $1,930.65.
Well,
Because that says deposits.
it's a
so,
deposit,
okay.
that's right. And this is typical with their agreements. It's based on putting an amount up front for their intake of animals throughout the year. And then once that deposit is utilized, they would bill us beyond that. So
Right.
the one thing I will note about it is that the fees are flat for the intake amounts. So it will just be based on how many pets need to be taken in.
So it's per animal as we take them then.
That is
Okay.
correct.
And probably useful to remind folks that, as always, these contracts don't include feral cats. That's a separate effort that we undertake. Because a lot of people do think, Humane Society, call them up and they'll come and take them. And no, that's our separate effort that we do with the TNR program. But it's worth reminding every year.
Okay, and I have another question. I see where the Humane Society did not sign the agreement. Her name is there, but there's no signature.
Well, that was at the time the PDF was made.
Okay.
I don't know whether the signature has been affixed to the document since the PDF was made. Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I'm not, it might be executed after our executed as a counter. I'm not.
Okay,
I'm not
because
sure.
usually, when we approve stuff, the other party has signed it first.
We can approve it, they'll sign it, and then we will sign it.
Okay.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve the Municipal Domestic Animal Protective Services Agreement?
Mr. Chairman, I'll
Yes, sir.
move that we approve the 2022 Municipal Domestic Animal Protective Services Agreement with the Humane Society as outlined on the agenda.
So moved by Mr. Judd. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
This now takes us to subdivision and land development plans. We have two before us this evening. The first involving the preliminary and final subdivision plan for the Meadows at Colonial Club. Mrs. Serby, good to see you this evening.
Good evening. So your first plan is for the Meadows at Colonial Club. It is a preliminary final subdivision plan. It involves a total tract of 23.5 acres that will be subdivided into 22 lots. The lots will consist of 19 single-family dwellings, 2 open space lots, and an existing lot with a dwelling. A public street is proposed with the development and will be offered to the township for dedication. The site is in the R1 residential low-density zoning district and will be served by public sewer and public water. The plan was approved at the November 10th, 2021 Planning Commission meeting. The applicant has requested 4 waivers for the plan, and all waivers are supported by staff. The plan comes before the board this evening with only 4 administrative comments and 4 general comments. And there are 2 representatives for the plan this evening.
Okay, if you would come to the podium, please, and give us your name and address, and then provide us with any additional information that you would like. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to present this plan before you tonight. My name is Lauren McDaniel. I work with Fran and Joel McNaughton, and I'm representing McNaughton Properties LP, who is the applicant in this matter. We're here tonight seeking your approval of the preliminary final subdivision plan for the Meadows at Colonial Club. And I won't go into extensive detail about the facts here of the plan that Amanda addressed. She did a good job covering that. Just a couple things to break down a little bit. She mentioned that there are 19 new home lots proposed with this plan. 18 of those new home lots are proposed along the cul-de-sac. There is 1 additional new home lot that is proposed at the north portion of the site, which is a standalone lot. We're pleased with that design because it's allowing us to avoid disrupting wetlands on the site. Additionally, there is one thing that we're excited about with this plan, and that is the lot number 20, which contains the existing home. It's an older farm home based on a cornerstone that we looked at on the house. It appears that the home dates back to 1880, so we're going to be preserving that home and renovating it. So we're very excited about that aspect of the plan. As Amanda mentioned, the plan was recommended for approval at the November 10th Planning Commission meeting, and we are now asking your approval for the preliminary final subdivision plan for the Meadows at Colonial Club. And if there are any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Are you okay with all the general comments and the administrative comments?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Judd, any questions or comments? Mr. Zumas?
None.
None. Well, we all
Mrs.
done a
Zerbe.
good job. Mrs. Zerbe has everything all tied up and with a nice little bow on it for Christmas for us.
And the Historical Commission would like to thank them. McNaughton is going to let them go through the structure before they start the renovation.
Oh, good.
So that 1800s home will be renovated by the developer and then sold, or?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, wow.
So very special property for the
Yeah,
lucky
sounds like
buyer.
it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, congratulations on preserving that and not having us lose a part of our history. That's very special.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the preliminary final subdivision plan for the Meadows at Colonial Club, Plan 21-26.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
There you go.
Okay,
All
thank you
approved.
very much for your time this evening.
Thank you for being here.
The truth is, you just wanted to come and see Santa.
Yeah, Santa doesn't come to every meeting.
Yeah. You must have been a bad boy.
Too bad Santa didn't have some grant money in that sack that he had with him. We could have had. Okay, we have one more item here. We have action to approve the preliminary and final subdivision plan for the Kepler property on Blackberry Lane. And
Yes,
Mrs.
the
Zerbe.
preliminary final subdivision plan for Kepler property is located at Blackberry Lane, and it proposes to subdivide tax parcel 35006063, which is 1.4 acres, into 3 separate lots. Lot 1 will be the residual lot with the existing garage and contain 0.53 acres. 2 additional lots will be created. Lot 2 and Lot 3 will both contain a total area of 0.47 acres. The site is in the residential low-density zoning district and will be served by public sewer and public water. The plan was approved at the December 1st, 2021 Planning Commission meeting. The applicant has requested 8 waivers for this plan, which are supported by staff due to the nature and intent of the plan. There are 4 general comments and 4 administrative comments outstanding for the plan. And Holly Evans of Evans Engineering is here to address any comments you may have.
Holly, how appropriate name.
We have a Christmas theme going here tonight. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Holly Evans. I'm with Evans Engineering. I'm here tonight on behalf of Dave Kepler, the property owner. As Amanda had indicated, it's a 1.5 acre parcel of land that Mr. Kepler has owned for a while. He has had the local business here in the township for quite some time and has recently decided to close up and close his business.
Oh, wow.
Basically, the project's pretty straightforward. We've had a chance to review the comments, both technical and administrative. We have no issues with the comments. And if you have any particular questions for myself, I'm more than happy to answer them for you, but otherwise we're here seeking for approval tonight.
You're okay with the administrative comments and the general comments?
Yes, we are.
Okay. The other 2 lots, are they going to be sold to build on, or?
They're to be set up to be sold, to be built on. Mr. Kepler has no immediate plans of selling them, but basically, as he's looking towards his retirement, he's looking at long-term, what does he need the property for or not need the property for? So it's part of his long-term retirement as far as being able to sell the parcels off for residential lots.
They were in Lingelstown a long time.
Yes.
Yes. Nothing from Mr. Judd? Mr. Zimis? Okay.
Pretty straightforward.
Well, with that, would somebody like to make a motion?
Sure, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the action on the preliminary final subdivision plan for Kepler property, Blackberry Lane, plan number 21-35.
So moved. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. There
Thank you
go.
very much.
All
Thank
taken
you.
care of. Thank you, Amanda.
Yes.
We also have improvement guarantees, which
Mr. Henry, could we do the Shadebrook one separate, please?
I anticipated that might be the case.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions about any of these before Mrs. Zerbe departs? Everything appears to be pretty straightforward. So with that, can we have a motion on the improvement guarantee for Shadebrook Phase 4, the extension?
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Lindsay,
Abstain.
Mr. Zumis,
Aye.
Mr. Judd,
Aye.
Mr. Henry.
Aye. And now we have 8 additional improvement guarantees, extensions, reductions, releases, and 2 street dedications. Is there a motion to approve the remaining improvement guarantees?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the improvement guarantees for Allentown Boulevard Warehouse, 6004 Blue Ridge Avenue, Devonshire Church Community Center, Stray Winds Farms, Phase 5C, 9A, and 9B, Stray Winds Farms, Phase 3A, 5A, 5B, and 6, Blue Ridge Village, Phase 1, Blue Ridge Village, Phase 2, Stray Winds Farms, Phase 9B.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to Mrs. Lindsay's motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
This takes us to payment of bills for Lower Paxton Township and the Lower Paxton Township Authority. Mr. Treasurer, a number of those.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the payment of the bills for Lower Paxton Township and Lower Paxton Township Authority.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Board members or Mr. Miller, do we have any additional announcements to make?
I'll make a quick announcement just to note, and it's been 80 years to this day,
Yep.
the attack on Pearl Harbor. We, it's starting to slip back years and years, and, the danger of it fading from memory, but it's a lot of military and civilian lives lost in that surprise attack, and I think it's good that we look back and remember the sacrifice, and that the world takes note of what happens when you doubt our resolve.
Well, and if I'll note, I was watching the 5 o'clock news, and they had a gentleman that was there, and he's 101 years old, down in York. Yeah,
Wow.
There's not too many of them left.
Right.
A day that will live in infamy.
His name was Gary.
Yeah, it's Gary. Oh, gee. Okay, on that note, the next meeting of the Board of Supervisors will be a workshop meeting, and that will be held 1 week from tonight. It will be, Tuesday, December 14th already at 7 o'clock right here in this meeting room. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.